It was cracking, everybody. Um, Back with a new one. Elections are supposed to be over. Seems like they're gonna be far from over, right? Um, so before I get into this video, I'm gonna put my email. Put my email down here, right? Um, I had a thought. See how many of you are interested in it. But I was thinking, those of you interested, send pictures of yourself or your loved ones, you and your significant other, whatever, right? No gang signs, no barrio shit. And I'll figure out how to add those at the end of videos, right? So not this video, but the next video. If I get some pictures that are usable, they'll be on the end of the next video. So, anyways, today's topic. I actually had recorded this video before and didn't put it out. Wound up erasing it, but I'm gonna give it a try again. You guys know I've mentioned quite a few times already in other videos how, to me, in my personal opinion, the California Youth Authority was a horrible experiment. And that experiment, that why they did it, it impacted our state and to me, the country, in a horrible way. You know, it made monsters. And I've seen, there's very few YA videos out, right? Even when we go back in the days. And I don't see what I'm going to talk about today, which is the dirty little secret. Or we could say dirty little secrets, right? So in the California Department of Corrections, in our adult system out here, two things that are not tolerated are gangbanging, right? As far as like bottle shit, and homosexuality, right? You engage in either one of them things, you're gonna be at the hospital, and whether you make it back from that trip or not, you know, that's in God's hands, you know. But unfortunately, the California Youth Authority, it was an extremely fucking savage environment, right? You had, it was mandatory reglas where, in YA, you know, I never talk about the adult system like that, those type of things. But in YA, you know, it's a bunch of fucking psychotic kids. And everybody's trying to one-up each other, you know, who's crazier, who's downer. But you had specific reglas as far as, or rules as far as, if you had an enemy, you're gonna have to get down with that enemy. Normally, once you got down with your enemigo, if you guys were both satisfied with how the fight went down, you could leave it alone and nobody trips, right? Now, if somebody didn't like it, they're gonna want to run back. And that run back can turn into some nonstop shit. I can tell you that I remember there were some dudes that were lifers, you know, juveniles that were lifers. And they had an enemy land in their dorm or land in their institution. And that dude only had to do a few years, right? but his max was maybe 10 years and or 8 years or whatever, right? And the lifer would rush that dude, get down with him, try to stab him, whatever, every chance he saw him, in order to make him have to do all of his time with the lifer. There would be other times where, somebody was gonna parole, and their enemigos would be in the dorm with them, and they would know, like, hey, that fool's paroling soon, and they would try to find out, how is he going home? And if the individual that was going home was from LA, and he was taking the Greyhound, back in the days, the old fucking Greyhound station, it was normally the dudes from 18. If they found out that somebody was paroling and then we're gonna take the Greyhound, they would call their homeboys, because they had one of their cliques was right there. They would call them like, hey, so and so from this water was getting out, and some of them would take the Greyhound and not survive that, Some would, but they'd still be shot or stabbed or whatever. Man, it was treacherous. Now here's one of the most ruthless, savage, and fucked up things about the Youth Authority. The Youth Authority was righteous gladiator school. That was survival of the fittest. And it was a constant testing of that fitness. I'm not gonna say the barrios, but there was an incident. This is not an isolated incident. It wasn't rampant in there, but it happened. And anybody that was in the Youth Authority back in the days, they can say, hey, it's true. That type of shit did happen. Not a lot, but it happened. There was two individuals, right? They were enemigos. And one had just came to the dorm, one had already been there. So they have to get down, right? Within first 3 days, they got to handle that business. And so they got down, boom. That day after the new guy got there, they get down, boom. And one of them won. He beat the fuck out of the other one. And he told them, every morning when we wake up, we're gonna do this, right? And sure enough, next morning, Vato gets up, boom, goes to the other dude, and he's like, let's go. And it's dorms. This is impossible. But there are cells. Those are for the programmers, the guys that are doing good, right? But that's where dudes would slide in the cell, especially like cell 12, cell 11 or 12. You go in there and you get them up. And so Vato went over there and he told them, hey, let's go. So they went, boom, brrr. Same guy won. He told them, hey, we're going to do this tomorrow too. So this is happening every day. Now, I personally don't understand why the guy that lost the first time, once he lost the second time and was told, hey, we're going to keep doing this, I don't understand why he didn't just grab a weapon and just try to kill the dude, because other dudes would do that. But this individual was like, I don't know, I guess he thought maybe the other vato would have sympathy for him at some point, right? And so this went on day after day. And I think it was about 2 weeks. After that shit. 2 weeks of this dude getting his ass whooped every day. The morning came. One vato went over there and goes, you know what's up? Let's go. They went in the cell. And the guy that had been losing, he says, look, Holmes, I don't want to get down with you no more. And the guy that had been winning is like, nah, we're going to get down. And he said, I'm not going to fight you no more, homie. And the one that had been winning told him, get on your knees. The guy that had been losing wanted to perform in a sexual act on the guy that was winning. And then he exposed it to everybody. Esse Vato's a leva. He's a bitch. This is what I had him do. And even though nobody else liked that it happened, it's YA. And that's how bad, that's why, like, when we talk about the different eras of gangbanging, comparing, what goes on now and the mindset now compared to then. The guy that turned the dude out, his enemigo out, it wasn't that he wanted to be gay, which to me, he became gay when he did that. But it wasn't that he wanted to be gay. It's he hated that other Vato's barrio that much that he stripped that dude of his fucking manliness. He made that motherfucker a punk. And everybody in the institution knew about it. That Vato, anytime he got a package from his family, it was taken from him. If he tried to get canteen, it was taken from him. I don't know what happened to that dude when he got out. A lot of times when shit like that happens, the neighborhood that the individuals are from, their homeboys usually wound up smoking them, But I just wanted to put a video out and just let people know, because there's other states that still have these type of YA type. I don't know what they call them in these other states, but I'm sure similar shit like that goes on. And anybody from another state, if you know that your state has juvenile facilities, juvenile prisons, actually what they are, just know that we need, in the juvenile as well as the adult systems, we need rehabilitation efforts. We can't have where incarceration is strictly punishment, because then shit like that happens. People get turned out. Imagine the type of person that they could become. Most sex offenders were victims, and then they turn around and they try to get their power back. That's what they say. Most of them that are convicted of that shit, they say they were molested or they were raped. It's a cold cycle. But my thing is the cycle of violence. When you have kids going in to do a year, 2 years, wind up doing 3, 4, 5 years, and the whole time they're being a fucking straight up savage in there. And then they're just kicked out to the communities. Again, it's this generation, thankfully, isn't as violent. Isn't as, well, I take that back. I think in the 80s into the mid 90s, you had, let's say, just a specific number, you had in a neighborhood that had maybe 100 dudes from their neighborhood, 100 bangers, right? They would probably have 10 or 15 dudes that were really, really with it. Like, everybody knew their names. They knew they were shooters. They knew they were willing to take lives. Nowadays, I would say in that same neighborhood of 100 dudes, there's probably 2 or 3 that have that same, I smoke a motherfucker in a heartbeat. So we can't say that it's completely eradicated as far as that crazy ass, I'm 100% with that shit mentality. It's just there's not as many of them. And I wonder, in these other states where banging is kind of newer, when they go into their juvenile state systems, this type of shit happens. What does it do to those communities? Because we know what it did to this out here, to California. But anyways, this video is already fucking 15 minutes long. I kind of rambled a little bit, but you know, it's what I do. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But just figured I'd put the reality of a glimpse of the savagery, really, that went on behind them walls. You know, and when and I will say that in YA, I'm not gonna say which one it was, but there was a specific race that was targeted to be turned into punks in YA. Not all of them did, and the ones that didn't were down motherfuckers. But I'd say 1 out of 20 of that specific race didn't punk out, you know. And it's a trip how those of us that were in YA knew that type of shit was happening. Nobody's put it out there, and I wonder why, man. But to me, it's like these things need to be exposed, because the public needs to know what really happens, or what happened in the past, as a result of the way that the citizenry voted to incarcerate the youth and even the adults in the state. You know, I think that with what's going on with the election right now, you know, it's important that we all understand the power of our vote. You know, people say voting don't matter, voting don't matter. Vote anyways, but vote with knowledge. Don't vote based on what you heard someone else say, you know what I mean? Because things like that happen. We'll see what's gonna happen with this election. And we already know a lot of the promises that were made aren't going to be held. And I just want to see how we get fucked in the process. All right, man, with that, I'm out.